Before the cathedral, there was stone. Before the altar, there was the sky. In this episode, we descend into the collective memory of humanity. We discover why the vertical is a symbol of ascension, the horizontal of rest, and the diagonal, the tension between them. How an ordinary place becomes a sacred one, and how architecture was born from a deeply human need to get closer to what we cannot understand. I am architect Horia Alexandru Vișan, and in every episode I present a stage in the history of human architecture. What was it like to live back then? What guided your life? And why did our ancestors strive to create that space? Architecture in the Stone Age, Paleolithic, 99% of human and proto-human history, a nomadic era of travel and expansion. They moved for food. Where the food was, so were they. Occasionally, they took shelter in caves when they found them. Otherwise, they made evening nests similar to those of modern gorillas. What interests us is that they began to develop shamanic beliefs as ways of transmitting generational knowledge and for funerary rituals. Man cannot worship divinity until he himself becomes divine. From A History of Religious Ideas by Mircea Eliade. But we still cannot speak of religion in the full sense, nor of architecture. The key point here is the emergence of shamanic belief and funerary rituals. Caves were occasional shelters, but also gateways to the realm of night, the realm of death, places where spirits felt closer, where they could enter a trance, sometimes with the help of substances, sometimes without. They were spaces of collective memory, decorated with what they desired, hunting scenes, Venuses, women with abundant forms, rooted in deeply human experience. I have the image, I will also have the truth. Just like today's athletes who visualize the jump and then succeed. But the memory of the cave as a place of shelter, as a threshold between worlds, endures. Mesolithic. Here, people begin to settle. Near rivers, they build huts from wood, leaves, and animal bones covered with sewn hides. We domesticate dogs. These are nests with covers, semi-permanent shelters, but we still cannot speak of architecture. What's still missing is the intent to reshape the world, the environment in our own image and likeness. Neolithic. The changes are profound. Agriculture emerges, and with it the need to understand the seasons. Animal husbandry, cattle, sheep. For the first time in our history, we have a surplus of food. We no longer just subsist. We become permanent in villages and cities. Activities become specialized. Some people take care of specific societal roles. Carpentry, pottery, the wheel, the wooden plow, defenders, soldiers, and a class of priests who crystallize a formal religion. People no longer worship only their own ancestors, but those of the whole community. Fun fact, red hair and light-colored eyes are more recent mutations in our history than pottery. And the priests, who take over the shamanic role, are responsible for preserving generational knowledge and tradition, repeated over so many generations that they become religious and calendrical customs. The priest, through his religious rituals, was the wise one who knew when the sun is reborn in winter, when the waters overflow, as in Egypt, the Nile, when to sow and harvest, when to breed animals, when to fatten them, and when to slaughter them. And here arises the first spatial crisis. What do you do when your sacred place is far away, hard to access, perhaps conquered by another tribe, or through a divine revelation, you understand it is no longer the right one? The spirit, the God, the ritual demands it, changes in the space where the religious ritual happens. The memory of sacred spaces from the depths remains with us. Caves begin to be reinterpreted through human reason and intent, and thus appear among the earliest examples of architecture, the Megarons, large holes made from stone, placed on stone, sometimes carved or polished, precursors of longitudinal axis spaces, that is the ancestor of the temple, where the deeper you go, the closer you are to the Holy of Holies, the most sacred space. Usually the layout is long, oriented toward ritual directions, north-south or east-west. They often serve as throne rooms too. In the same period, within a similar mindset but with an important difference, we find the Trulli houses in Italy. These spaces don't follow a path from the profane to the sacred, but express a human desire for verticality, the yearning for ascension from earth to sky. They have a central axis that lifts both man and smoke toward the heavens. In the minds of those who built them, they are caves pointing upward. Here we reach another facet of the sacred and human spirituality. Sacred places, sacred hills, sacred trees, axis mundi, the Tower of Babel, Mesopotamian ziggurats, even the pyramids, though funerary rather than temples, are archetypes of sacred hills closer to the stars. We'll explore this in the episode dedicated to the Bronze Age, so don't forget to hit subscribe and the notification bell. The human desire for ascension is insatiable. We always want to become more, to be more. In architectural language, the vertical rises. It marks the important place, be it a grave or a natural feature claimed by man, around which an aura of power forms. Picture a great tree in a field, or even a large stone. There's a zone around it where you feel protected. You're shielded from sun or rain beneath its branches. That is its aura of power. The same goes for a giant vertical stone. We remember that priests aimed to mark through ritual the key moments in the cycle of the seasons, and here we see the rise of megalithic structures, monuments made of large stones. We have monoliths, upright stones that mark special places. We also have menhirs, multiple monoliths placed to create a pathway or sacred space, a place where you feel protected from the outside world. But in architectural language, there are two more elements, the horizontal and the diagonal. The horizontal covers us, shields us completely from what falls from the sky, soothes us, lets us rest, lets us lie down, while the vertical lifts us toward the heavens, symbol of the soul. The horizontal belongs to the earth. It is at most the line of the horizon. It represents our bodily side, the part that needs rest and peace. That's why we have horizontal gravestones, to give the dead peace and rest. Here we speak of the Trilitic system, 3 stones, 2 vertical and 1 horizontal, called a dolmen. We find countless examples, the most famous being Stonehenge in Salisbury, England, but there are others. These structures are known in academic language as cromlechs, assemblies of menhirs and dolmens, of verticals and gates. But what do? 2 vertical stones and a horizontal one above create a symbolic roof. They hold up the sky. They raise the earth closer to the heavens. They can be gates, they can be thresholds. You enter one side and come out the same physically. But spiritually, something has changed. These ensembles, drawn from nature, could serve as astral calendars or for sacrifices, human or animal. Whether used by druids or others, the identity doesn't matter as much as this. Even today, thousands of years later, they still inspire us. Whether it's Carnac in France or Stonehenge in England, they are places we feel viscerally to be important, powerful. But I also mentioned the diagonal. We are made of body and symbol, of flesh and soul. And if the vertical is the soul and the horizontal is the body, what then does the diagonal symbolize? The diagonal creates tension, unrest, the possibility of ascension when it's a stair, or a sword of Damocles, a burden, when you stand beneath it. How was the diagonal used in architecture? All of this in the next episode, where we'll explore the Bronze Age.